Hi, welcome to the Baby Blue Arts website. Dick Erickson sitting in for Lori Patton today, talking to our guest artist, Papa John Kolstad. And Papa John, a lot of people know about who you are and what you've done, but there are some people out there that don't. So why don't you give us a quick resume of where it all started and
Right.
where it's all gone?
I've been called a legend, which is something hard to deal with as a person. You wonder what really is a legend when it's you. And I finally figured it out that it means that a lot of people have heard of you, but they don't know why. So now people will have somewhat of an idea. I started playing down on the West Bank in the 60s and had put together a band, and we toured nationally for 3 or 4 years. We traveled all over North America playing music. And then I went and studied music in Boston and played a lot of folk festivals and festivals all over the East Coast. And then came back here after I graduated from Berklee College of Music out there in '77. Came back here and played music and got involved with a lot of other things. I started running a distribution business and a record company, and I've done a lot of things. But I'm going back now to doing more. I love doing concerts, and I've done a lot of them around the Midwest area, around Minnesota, playing a lot of the smaller towns where they have arts organizations that bring performers in. And I just love it because it's a refocusing back on the town itself, not on what's on television, not what's on out there someplace else, but back on their own culture and their own community. And that's happening all over the state of Minnesota and really all over the Midwest. I think it's a very positive development. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of those things. There are a lot of festivals coming up. I'll be playing them.
Now, sometimes you play with other musicians, and what determines whether you're going to be a duo or a trio or a single act like you are today?
Well, sometimes it's who's available. I played the last 5 or 6 years with I've got a mental block for Clint Hoover's name. Clint Hoover is probably one of the America's top harmonica players, and I'm not spinning any wool here. This guy is really world class. He's a fantastic both chromatic, which is the one with all the notes on it with the button, or the diatonic or the blues harmonica. He plays both just incredibly well. He's also a great performer. So we've done a lot of things together. We did a record together live at a place called the Ginkgo. And it's a live record. It's us, that sort of the energy of the performance, but the recording quality of a studio. We recorded it digitally, and we did another record with a group I play with that we do swing tunes and a lot of blues. The guy plays trumpet, another jazz guitar player, and a bass. And Clint, when he's in town, will do that. Sometimes Gary Schulte, who's been on this show, will play with us. Who's a great jazz violin player, also plays wonderful blues and other kind of music. So it sort of depends on who's available, what the concert producer of the event wants. I almost hardly ever play solo anymore. I really enjoy working with other performers, and I've been invited to do a few things solo recently, and they worked out pretty well. I always think that it seems empty when I'm just there by myself, but even my big 12-string, sometimes I think it doesn't have enough sound, but people have convinced me now that it's got plenty of sound. You really don't need anybody else. But I do love playing with other musicians.
And that's nice, but I must say, because today you've already performed for us here just as a single act, and it's the real raw essence when you're just the single act, and it's just you. And I thought it was a dynamite performance.
Well, it is enjoyable to do just that, and so I'm enjoying doing it in all different ways. So it'll all depend on what people want, kind of a show they want.
I was curious, though, how you wound up with this kind of bluesy folks genre. Why did you do that? Why weren't you in rock and roll or something else? Why'd you choose this?
Well, I always wanted to play guitar when I was young. My mother was a child prodigy piano player. She could play anything in any key and play it amazing. She was just amazing. She had some lessons, but she could play long before she had any lessons. So there was kind of music in the family. But when I wanted to play guitar, they thought I would lose interest, so they wouldn't buy me a guitar. But finally, in my senior year in high school, a friend gave me an old guitar, and I started playing it and started learning any kind of songs, anything that I played Bonanza, the theme song from the TV. Then my brother-in-law showed me how to play some chords and tune the guitar, and taught me some Hank Williams songs, sort of a pre-country, really, almost folk music kind of stuff. And so I just evolved from that. I started playing a lot of folk music. I love folk music because it tells stories about people. They're written by real people about real events. I always enjoyed that. And then I ended up over in Minneapolis, and I saw a couple of people playing the blues. One was a guy named Gene Sumdahl, and I remember the song they sang that night. He sang the Peaches Blues, had a line in it, honey, if you don't like my peaches, then why do you shake my tree? And I just thought that was the greatest line. And, you know, blues in some ways is a very simple kind of music. It's 3 chords normally, and the melodies are repetitive and the lines repeat. On the other hand, they're very, very difficult and very complex because they are so simple that the nuance is everything. Right. And so it really, I think it takes a long time for somebody to really find that essence of those blues songs. But they're very, very expressive and very powerful when you get that. So I'd seen these people play, and I thought, that's what I want to do. So I started learning blues songs and then started collecting. There was a group, Colonel Rand Glover, that played on the West Bank, and they were just absolutely marvelous players. And they just had great energy, and they sang all these obscure songs I'd never heard of. So I started collecting the records of the songs they were doing and the people they talked about in the songs. You know, it just was an evolving thing. At some point, somebody gave me a tape of Django Reinhardt, who was the great French gypsy guitar player, who had his hand damaged. You know, he could use 2 fingers on his left hand, but played brilliant, incredibly fast, brilliant licks on the guitar, and was very, very funny, very enigmatic character. And I loved his music, and I eventually learned how to play at least some of that. And so we do that with a group I play with, the Hot Club, we call it. Actually, it's called the Papa John and the Hot Club of East Lake. We play down at East Lake all the time. So I play quite a variety of music, but someone once asked, well, what's a Norwegian Irishman like you doing playing blues? And I've often wondered about what a good answer to that would be. Didn't sound silly or whatever. And the truth is that I love the music. There's something about the American form of music called the blues, and there's a lot of varieties to that, lots of different kinds of blues. But especially the earlier blues, the ones that were recorded before the Second World War, and the country blues, they just had a sound to them. They just had a feel to them that had meaning to me. And hopefully if it has meaning to me when I perform them, then that meaning is transferred to the audience. And
well, they're going to find out today if they just click on the button over on your performance today and hear, because you've got the authentic blues sound.
Yeah.
So check out Papa John Kolstad on the website today, and thanks for joining us.